Welcome to our beginner series. Today we are doing the first workout. Now this is a great... No, love. No. This is a great series for anyone that hasn't done this sort of training before or is finding that it's been a couple of decades since they've last done this sort of thing, and we want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So this is my amazing wife, Jo.
And this is my husband, Clinton.
Husband.
I know what you're going to do to me.
Okay, that's as good as it gets. So what we're going to be doing, guys, is we're going to be going for 3 rounds today. We're going to be covering 5 different exercises. We're going to work for 60 seconds with a 15-second transition in between each one. Now, the exercises that we're going to be going through are our fundamental movements, which are going to include an air squat, a tripod row, the sumo deadlift, and we're doing a shoulder press. Before we launch into it, Jo, any words of advice?
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. Get there.
Cool. On that note, I think it's time we rip roar into it. We're going to kick things off in about 10 seconds time. We're going to start with air squat. So Jo, if you wouldn't mind getting feet shoulder width apart. And away we go. All right, so as Jo is squatting, what I want you paying attention to is just how smooth and controlled she is. So have a look at the big piece here is her straight back. She's got this really good curve in the lumbar. Her upper back, there's a hint of the rounding there, which is perfectly normal. That's natural within the spine. But the big point that we're wanting to pay attention to is the line of her thighs. Now see the way she's squatting here? She goes hips are back, then she goes down. So we're 30 seconds in, 30 seconds to go. How are those legs feeling, Jo?
I'm cactus already.
Glorious. All right, so keep pushing the knees out. So as Jo fatigues, she starts to not use her butt muscles. So I need you to push the knees out, make sure your knees, that's it. Your knees are tracking with the toes. Keep it smooth and controlled on the way down. That's the key theme here. We're wanting to control that tempo. We've got 5 more seconds. You're doing really well. And relax down. All right, now we've got a 15-second rest. How'd it go? Well done. Coming over, we're going to get into our tripod rows. All right, so grab a dumbbell, set yourself up in a tripod. So I'm going to get you left side first. I want you starting with your non-dominant side. That's it. And away we go. So soft bend of the knees. That's it. Feet a little bit wider. I want you, and just walk your feet further forward. That's it. There we go. Good. Now, as Jo's doing this, the real key point I want to draw your attention to is if I dropped this coaching stick down her back, I need 3 points of contact. Her tailbone, her shoulders. Drop your head down, chin in. There we go. That's the correct posture that we want to try and achieve. Now, as she's doing this row, can you just pull up and hold for a sec? If I draw a line from her elbow through to her shoulder, it should transect to her ear. Relax back down, keep it going. So really try and squeeze through the shoulder blade. Now for Jo, she shrugs a lot. There's a lot of tension through her upper traps. We're trying to get her to make as much gap between her ear and her shoulder as possible. So to really work on that correct mechanics. All right, we've got about 15 seconds to go. Doing really well. All right, so your job is just to keep moving for the full minute. Keep it moving as steady and as smooth as possible. There we go, relax down. There we go, we're doing well. Grab your dumbbells. Now we're going into our sumo deadlifts. So I'll get you just standing here, facing over that way. All right, so as Jo's doing her sumo deadlift, she's got a nice wide stance. And see, you'll notice, as opposed to a squat, what she's doing here is it's much more of a hip hinge. So the first movement is she goes back with the hips like the squat, but then she continues to push the hips back. And the knees only bend once the hands get past the dumbbell. So a little sequence I want you to think about is hips, then knees, knees, then hips. Hips, then knees, knees, then hips. Go back down and hold at the bottom for me for a sec, Jo. Now tuck your chin in, so you'll see Jo likes to hyperextend, so we need to feel that 3 points of contact, tailbone, shoulders, and head. And if you've got those 3 points, you're looking good. All right, let's keep it going. So stand up nice and tall at the top. That's it, hips forward. And so as you're doing this one, like I say, drive the hips back. The other thing I want you thinking about is pushing your knees out so your thigh is pointing in the same direction as your toe. Hang in there, you're nearly there. You're doing really well. All right, so just keep it moving, guys. And there we go. Now we're coming back to our tripod row. So exactly what we did before, but now we're working on the opposite side. All right, so same deal again. Grab the one dumbbell, support yourself. That's it, soft bend of the knees. There you go, good. All right, so as we're doing this, again, the objective at this stage is, like I say, I want you only going as fast as your technique will allow. So in this instance, this is looking really good. Joe's very strong through her right side. She has a tendency to shrug on this one, so I'm gonna get her to really try and pull that shoulder down towards her tailbone. And again, from that side on position at the top of the row, if I drew a line from your elbow through to your shoulder, through to your ear, it's looking nice and straight. But we need to feel this through the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades are the thing that's pulling back and down. All right, so how are you holding up there, Joe? I've got heavier dumbbells if you want. Oh dear, this is good. This is going to be fun. Oh, and keep in mind, we've only got 2 more rounds to go after this one. All right, so we've got 10 seconds to go. Keep bracing through the midline. Let's keep our back nice and straight. Squeeze through the shoulder blade. Keep things smooth. And relax down. Okay, our final piece of the puzzle. You're doing really well. All right, so our final piece of the puzzle is going to be our shoulder press. All right, so with our shoulder press, the dumbbells are going to be at the shoulders here, and we're simply pressing them up overhead. Yeah, all right, so no dip and drive, that's it. So what I'm wanting you to do, if we have a look at our, bring it back down for a second, we'll just make sure we've got a correct setup position. So what I want you to do is chest nice and tall, elbows underneath the dumbbells. That's it. So you probably got your elbows too high. Drop your elbows, there we go, and press up from there. And as we're pressing up, hold overhead for a moment. Press up, you can do this. Press up, and I want you to pull your ribs down. Keep your ribs nice and engaged. So the thing we want to avoid is hyperextending at the top of the press. That's it. So I'd still say you're probably getting a bit too much of an angle on the forearms. So I want the forearms being relatively vertical. So move your hands to the front of the dumbbell there. Give yourself some play space. That's it. Vertical forearms, and let's press up. That's it, good. Pull your ribs down. All right, so as you're pressing, some things I want you to think about. Keep your ribs tight. So when I say ribs tight, pull your ribs down. We want to avoid hyperextending. And relax down. The other things you want to think about is squeezing your thighs, clenching your backside. I want everything from your knees through to your shoulders rock solid and locked in. All right, 1 round done. Let's go back to our air squats. All right, let's go again. Just back a bit. Sorry, there we go. All right, so as you can see again, now this is where the wheels will start to fall off depending on your fitness level. Now, if you're feeling okay with things, what you can try and do is speed it up a little bit. If you're just hanging in there, as in, oh, this is very, very tough, slow it down. Now, something that you can do, if you've got bad knees or injuries that we need to be mindful of, come over to the box for a sec, Joe, and just give a look at a few box squats. Box squats are a really good way of just ensuring that you can try and keep those shins vertical. All right, so for those of us that are carrying knee injuries, we don't like to push our knee into too deep a flexion there. And this is a really good way of still getting our squat mechanics under our belt, but just being a little bit protected and safer, and you can control that height. So let's come back forward again, back to our full air squats. You look like you're enjoying those a smidge too much. All right, that's it. So remember, just knees are pointing in the direction of your toes. Thumbs up towards the ceiling. Let's get those shoulders into a more neutral position. Good. Excellent. 2 rounds done with the squats. Now we're going back to our tripod row. All right, so left side, non-dominant side. Whichever side is your weaker side, always kick that one off. Start with that one. There you go. All right, and away we go. So as we're doing this, just a reminder, straight back. So hips, shoulders, head, all in that straight line. Like I say, if I had a coaching stick, it's going to be showing you the correct alignment. So making sure that you've got the 3 points of contact. At the top of the row here, make sure that your elbow, your shoulder, and your ear are all pointing in the same direction. Now, as I was saying for Jo, she needs to really work on pulling her shoulder down. So hold there for a sec, pull that shoulder. There we go. Good. So some of the times, one of the common errors I see is people will often have their hand too far forward. So keep your hand, let's keep that forearm vertical. There we go. Good. So work from it there. Squeeze that shoulder blade together. Good. Right, so let the movement initiate with the shoulder blade. If you want to go with a bit of a twist and a rotation on this one, that's entirely fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Really good. Hang in there. You've got about 7 seconds to go. I hope. If I've done my maths correctly. Oh, there we go. Nearly there. All right,
Saved by the bell.
You're doing well. All right, so back to our sumo deadlift. So grab your dumbbells. Nice wide stance again. So we're just going to get out into the sumo stance. Hips, then knees on the way down. Knees, then hips on the way up. But I want you to really feel yourself loading up through the hips on this one. Stick your bum back. Keep your back nice and straight. All right, so hips, hips, hips. Knees, knees, knees. Then knees, knees, knees. Hips, hips, hips. Good. And remember, and a big thing for Jo is that she disengages with her glutes. So I'm going to push your knee in, push your knee out against my hand. Push it out, push it out, push it out. There we go. That's it. Push it out, push it out, push it out. All right, so I need you to feel yourself pushing those thighs out, tracking with the toe. We want to avoid, because the wider the stance and the toes pointing out, it's easy to have the knees going bulbous. We need to break that movement pattern, especially if you've got dodgy knees. And if you don't have dodgy knees, it's only a matter of time before you do have dodgy knees if you're doing that. All right, so keep that back nice and straight. Keep bracing through the midline. Keep your tummy, belly button pulled in. Ribs are down. We're going really well. We've got about 5 seconds to go. Nearly there. Hang in there, mate. You're doing sensational. Boom. All right, tripod row, and then we have finished 2 rounds. You feeling up for it? You doing okay?
Do I have to push this?
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad she's here. She's too honest. All right. Tripod row, soft knees. There you go. Good. All right, so as you can see with Jo, we want to work those shoulder blades squeezing together. I want you to really focus on that. This is all about that upper back. Now, why I love horizontal pulling exercises, why you're going to see a fair bit of it, and why it's one of our fundamental movements, is that you need to understand that so much of where we go and what we do in everyday life, we're in this sort of rounded shoulder position, whether we're playing on the phone, working on the computer, working at a desk, even in the kitchen. It doesn't matter where you are, driving a car, we're often in this forward orientated position with our head internally rotated with our shoulders. And so this is really about trying to correct that posture and those mechanics. It's trying to stay off some of those shoulder issues that you're potentially going to get if you continue to spend all your time in that position. It's not going to undo all that work. You need to make sure that you're doing other things throughout the course of the day, but this is a really good way of trying to balance that ledger a little bit. Right, keep pulling your shoulder down, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And there we go. We have got our shoulder presses to go. Now, this is quite brutal. Now, ideally, if you have a second set of dumbbells that are a little bit lighter, you could look at using these. Grab those dumbbells.
Oh, 15 seconds goes fast.
Doesn't it? Right, so let's remember vertical forearms. There it is. Good. And pressing up. And so if you actually, Jo, would you mind going side on? Right, so the key theme here is at the top, hold, 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 reach up, reach up, reach up. We're wanting the heel, the hips, the shoulder, and ideally those dumbbells to be in a straight line. Bring it back down. So as you can see, Jo's got she's missing a little bit of range of motion, and that's something that we can work on. But what I need to ensure that she doesn't do is to get in that straight line. I don't want to see her arch. Can you show me what an arch looks like? Yeah, that's what we'll often see. People get that excessive curve. So keep that the ribs pulled down, pressing up, pressing up, pressing up, ribs down, keep nice and strong. Clench your thighs, clench your butt, pull your ribs down. Hang in there, you're nearly there. All right, so. Yeah. Is it too late to tell her we've got some lighter ones?
No. Maybe the last.
5 seconds to go. Let's go for one more good quality rep. Control up, press up, and smooth on the way down. Well done. All right, there we go. 2 rounds done, 1 round to go. So something I need to stress is that if you need to have little breaks throughout the minute, that's okay. We're just starting this journey. All right. Okay, so there we go. Just take your time, thumbs up, chest up. There we go. Good mechanics. Really like what I'm seeing with those knees. So again, your job is just to keep moving. This is the 3rd round. Ideally, the bulk of the work is done now. All I need you doing is just hanging in there at this point. So just keep moving. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be fast. Your job is to work at your own pace. So someone who's starting out, well, listen, you're going to need to break this minute up a little bit. Have a little bit of a break. Shake your legs out. Catch your breath. If you're a little bit further along on your fitness journey, well, listen, push the pace. Try and get as many squats as you can throughout this minute. But the main theme being is that we want to be as fast as our technique will allow. So in this instance, I want to see your thighs tracking with your toes. I want to see a nice straight back and keep trying to work with the chest being as upright as possible. Keep the weight on the heels. If you need to go to box squats, go to box squats. Look after the knees. Well done. We're nearly there.
Squats done.
Squats are done. Check that one off. All right, let's go back to our tripod row. All right, so same deal again. So have a look at the waist. She's getting a nice straight back, and it's initiating through the shoulder blade first, and the arm pulls in once that shoulder blade has found its range. All right, we want to avoid pulling early with the arms on this one. So vertical forearm, forearm straight up and down, hips, shoulders, head all in a straight line, and that's looking good. So keep making your neck nice and tall, and again, break it up as you need. The only thing that I am going to get you to be mindful of is that when we do break up the left and the right side, I want you to start on your non-dominant side and keep track of how many repetitions you're doing or how you're breaking it up. And then make sure that when you go to your dominant side, you match that. We don't want the dominant side to get stronger. And the reason being is the greater the gap between one side and the other, the greater the likelihood of injury. So I'd rather you hold your dominant side back, develop and challenge your non-dominant side to try and square that up a little bit. Reduce the gap between the two because it will reduce your risk of injury. There's a lot of evidence and data supporting that. All right, we have got sumo deadlifts. We've got 3 exercises to go. So you're doing incredibly well. Like I say, this is, it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or a seasoned campaigner. It can be as hard or as challenging as you want to make it. Now the key to it is to work at your own pace. All right, so let's just keep pushing the hips back, thighs tracking with the toes. All right, so let's get the knees out, knees out, knees out. That's it. So again, something you can start to do if you've got a super friend that's happy to push those knees in. Otherwise, you can even, a couple of little tips is you can even work it with, if you've got bands, pop the bands around the knees. They're a good way of getting you in the habit of trying to activate through the glutes. But as you're doing this one, I want you to really think about squeezing through the butt, all right? Clenching the butt muscles. All right, so you're going to be focusing on the hamstrings and the glutes, loading up through that back part of the body. We call it the posterior chain. So whether it's the back, the glutes, the hamstrings, they're all the posterior chain, but it is a posterior chain exercise. So you should be feeling it through that region. That's it, keep pushing the knees out. All right, well done. Okay, we are back to our tripod row on the dominant side. We are nearly there. Nice.
What to do.
All right, so this is your second last one. All right, you're doing really well.
Listen to you.
I'm not sure if you heard that. She just said she's just going to listen to it. That is now on video. I'm archiving this and I'm going to pull it out, have it on my phone, ready to go on demand.
I mean the shit.
All right. That's it, you're doing well. Keep squeezing your shoulder blades. There we go. That's better positioning. All right, so just remember, as fatigue kicks in, do not go for repetitions that aren't supported by good technique. As a general rule of thumb, it takes, if you've been moving poorly for a number of years, which, like I say, for us over 40s, it's not that over time, it's very easy to creep into bad habits. We have to be absolutely disciplined, rock solid in making sure that we're not reinforcing poor mechanics. We are only reinforcing good mechanics. So if you need to break it up, slow it down, do that. Just make sure that your checkpoints are in place. We've got a nice straight back. She's pulling the shoulders back and down. The movement's initiated through the shoulder blades here. And well done. Well done. All right, so we have got shoulder presses to go and we are done for the day. All right, so this is Joe's nemesis. Like I was saying, there's a bit of shoulder mobility work that we're going to work on here over the coming weeks. Vertical forearm, there we go, that's it. And pressing up. So if you don't have the shoulder range, keep it going, you're doing well. If you don't have the shoulder range, something that you can do is try not to press directly over the head, like be comfortable with it being slightly forward and understand that as your shoulder mobility improves, because there's going to be a ton of stuff that we're putting out here that's going to help you reclaim some of that range of motion. Just understand that from that end, you're better off sacrificing a bit of that range and avoiding that hyperextension. All right, so you're doing well. If you need to have a break, have a break. You're doing it. Shake it off. You're doing good. All right, so keep moving, guys, as best you can. Have short little breaks. Give yourself a little 3, 2, 1, and then we get back into it again. We have got, I think, around about 10 seconds to go, and we are done. You're nearly there. You're nearly there. Come on, guys. Come on, we've got about 5 seconds. You got it? And great job. All right, high five. Well done. All right, so guys, yeah, oh, what surprise. All right, anything to go add to the group at home before?
We're done.
All right, make sure you hit your cool down, and we'll catch you later on in the week for Fundamental 2. Well done.